Hey guys, how you doing? Coach DJ here, and we're going to give you 3 tips or more of what you need to know about law and personal injury. And today, I have attorney Michael Bernard with us. Mr. Bernard, how you doing?
I'm doing good, DJ. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. A few questions. I got them themed out for you.
All right.
All set, ready to go. I even gave you a copy, right? I wanted to talk about some of the reality of personal injury, right? So the first question I have for you, what's the biggest misconception people have about personal injury, and how much is it? How much truth is in it?
Well, I think, one misconception people have about personal injury is we're ambulance chasers, and that there's something icky about personal injury attorneys. And the reality of it is personal injury attorneys provide a valuable service to the community. And whereas personal injury attorneys are usually for profit and they want to make money too, they usually only make money when they make money for their clients as well.
Right.
So it's a mutually beneficial relationship between the clients and the attorneys. And rather than being icky, what personal injury attorneys provide is a liaison between the injured party and the insurance company.
Nice.
Injured people are at a disadvantage when dealing with insurance companies. Insurance companies begin to defend the case immediately.
Right.
And so personal injury attorneys have the information that you need in order to make sure that you get what you're entitled to, what you're entitled to be compensated for.
Absolutely. So we're by law legally held to get insurance, and they're going to pay for stuff, but on the same time, they're trying to cut as many corners as they can, not to give you full compensation.
That's right. And the reality of it is that personal injury attorneys are not ambulance chasing scum. In fact, we're here to help the community when they are at a disadvantage in dealing with an insurance company.
Absolutely. So that's something you should know. Insurance companies, by law, you have to have your insurance. However, the misconception is that they're ambulance chasers. They're for profit, but they can't make a dime if you don't get paid. So, great. That's good. Now, how do you determine if someone has a legitimate case or if they're just looking for a payday?
Well, I mean, I think anybody that's injured has a legitimate case. I think it can be as simple as I went to be checked out at my primary care physician. I went to the emergency room for some x-rays. That's a personal injury case.
Right.
It's not as severe a personal injury case as I've had broken bones, which required surgeries, which required me to miss work. But I don't think that there is an illegitimate case outside of the area of fraud or something like that, which we really see very, very little of.
Absolutely. So have you ever had to turn away a case that you personally want to fight for? If so, why?
Sure, yeah. I analyze every case as if I'm in front of a jury, and then I try to work my way backwards. So there are some cases that while I feel the client is not responsible and deserves compensation, within that analysis in front of a jury, it may be a case I can't prove to the point where they would be successful. These are some cases like who ran a red light without any video footage or witnesses, who ran a stop sign and hit who crossed the center line and hit who head on, who merged into who.
Yeah.
These types of cases, somebody's at fault.
Right.
But if there's no additional evidence and it's a swearing match, I call those cases swearing matches, very difficult to prove in front of a jury what happened. So sometimes I have to turn those cases away because I don't think they'll be successful cases, even though I believe that the person that was injured did not cause the wreck. I can't prove it. I think that's a difficult thing in our job is sometimes we just can't help.
Right.
But we hope we can.
In those cases, I've heard like the who crossed the line, and then you got a smash head on. You can't prove who crossed the line. Is it facts that you may have to call in a special investigator?
Absolutely.
kind of do a crime scene type deal,
Absolutely.
and hope that they give you exactly what you need to present to the jury to prove that the other person was at fault.
Correct. In that example of who crossed the center line and hit who head on, if there's no independent witnesses, there's no video, you have the testimony of the people that were involved in the wreck. The only other evidence you could uncover comes from the vehicle. So in order to obtain that evidence, typically you need to retain a accident reconstructionist, an engineer.
Gotcha.
Lay people, it makes a lot of sense to us when we look at, oh, where's the damage on the cars and where did the cars end up on the roadway, and this is how the accident must have happened, because it seems like common sense for us.
Right.
Usually that's not admissible in front of a jury, so you need an expert to go download the data from the boxes, figure out what was happening in the vehicles immediately preceding the crash, who was steering in which direction, who was braking.
They have those type boxes in cars, sort of like an airplane?
In most cars now, most new cars now, you can get that data. Now, the caveat is it's expensive to retain experts. It's expensive to retain accident reconstructionists and engineers. So if your case is a primary care physician visit and then you got better, well, that's good. We want you to get better. Likely, there's not enough money in that case for us to spend them, or anyone to spend the money to retain that expert. Right. But if there are serious injuries involved, then absolutely, that's what needs to happen.
Absolutely. Wow.
And you said private investigator. That's another thing that we do here at OEB Law, is if we feel like we potentially could make a case in one of these examples where there may not be any witnesses or video evidence, in addition to hiring an engineer, we'll also hire a private investigator who can go out, scope the scene, see if there's any cameras on adjacent businesses. Sometimes a lot of people have these Ring cameras now.
Yes, yeah.
We can get information like that, whereas at first a case may seem like it's not a viable case, may not be a viable case. But if we can develop the evidence, we can turn it into one, and turn one of those swearing match cases into a case that you can win in front of a jury.
And you can do that here at OEB Law.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow.
That's what we do every day.
Wow, I love it. Mr. Bernard is on it. So I'm going to turn the page a little bit. I'm going to move forward to car wreck cases. The firm's bread and butter. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'd say 80 to 85% of our practice is probably car wreck cases.
Wow. So what's one thing car accident victims don't realize about insurance companies until it's too late?
They're not your friend. Insurance companies' job is to pay as little money as possible. And if they can pay nothing, that's what they're going to do. They begin to defend your case the moment you make contact with them. So what could seem like mundane, trivial questions, in fact, you could be entering a world of pain by volunteering information or giving them information that they could misconstrue. And so I think that's the number one thing people don't realize. A lot of times, especially if you're dealing with your own insurance company, you may feel that that person on the other side of the phone is on your side.
Right.
They want to help you.
Right.
What they want to do is save money for the insurance company. So that's why I tell people, I get calls at every stage of the process. Some people call me from the scene of the wreck. Some people call me after they've been discharged from the hospital. Some people try to settle their case on their own and then come in 10 months later and try to hire me when they've been unsuccessful. The sooner you contact an attorney after an event, after an injury, the better it is for you, because they can begin to represent your interests and tell you about some of the pitfalls that you may not be aware of when dealing with an insurance company.
Pitfalls. I think of it as a booby trap. You can hit this little line and you got paint coming down on you.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. There's these little booby traps, trap doors, counterintuitive things that you may not realize. So that's why whether you call us or you call somebody else, my advice to you is to always call a personal injury attorney if you've been injured
Absolutely.
before talking to the insurance company.
Prior to, make sure you check yourself out. Make sure you're okay, doctor, whatever. But prior to, because if I'm not mistaken, you guys can take care of that part. You can contact the insurance company. You'll handle that process.
Absolutely. And that's one of the benefits of hiring an attorney. There's multiple benefits. Some people hire us for advice. Some people hire us to explain things to them. Other people don't want to deal with the insurance companies at all. It's confusing. It's annoying. It's inconvenient. Some of the insurance adjusters are rude. And so some people hire us, I feel like, just so we are the ones that have to deal with the insurance companies.
Right, absolutely. And they can do that first off before calling the insurance company.
That's right. We could set up a claim for you. We can handle the whole process.
So it is something you should know. Please take note of that. Obviously, don't wish anything to happen, but these are the things that you need to know. You have to prepare for. Maybe if it's not for you, it's for a loved one. It's February. It's a month of love. So maybe it's for a kid or your husband or wife or just significant other. So always good things to know. So what's the most frustrating part about handling car wreck cases that clients never see?
You know how they say no one likes watching sausage be made?
Yeah.
You heard that before?
Yeah, I have.
I think that a lot of times what we do is we make the sausage. So the arguments that insurance companies come up with that we have to defend every day are variable, and they come in areas you wouldn't expect them to. For instance, an insurance company may decide that they think the amount of your medical bill is too high. So even though you owe, say, $8,000, the insurance company might tell you that the hospital's overbilled you and that they think it's only worth $5,000. So they're only going to pay you $5,000 for that medical bill.
Wow.
Usually when those arguments are made, I don't even tell the clients about them. It just infuriates them. So, I feel like that's an example of watching sausage be made. Behind the scenes, it's not just about maximizing your pain and suffering dollars.
Right.
It's not just about showing how severe the trauma was. Sometimes it's about arguing over the price of a bill or lost wages. Insurance companies hate to pay lost wages. So again, I think a lot of our job is dealing with the nitty-gritty, dealing with these tiny details. And again, to me, it's like watching sausage be made. If I called up my client every time an insurance company tried to discount their case, I'd be on the phone with them every day, and we never get anywhere.
Wow.
So we have to kind of make the sausage here.
Gotcha. That's perfect. And I empathize with that. Totally different scenario, but I had the package on your vehicle. If it breaks down, the third party is going to pay the bill. They're going to front the bill, right? I take my vehicle, $9,000 worth of fixing to do. They said it's only worth $3,000, and I had to pay the difference to the car company that fixed it, and that wasn't a deal, right? So,
oh yeah,
definitely understand.
And we've been talking about injury because that's primarily what we do here. But another component of almost every injury case, and certainly every car wreck case, is a property damage claim. And just like you said, they're going to discount you on the property damage too. They're going to say that shop is overcharging you. We're not going to pay for that.
Right.
So in those situations, I advise the clients to extract themselves from the situation, connect the insurance company to the shop. Don't play middleman with them because it'll make you pull your hair out.
Take note of that, guys. That was awesome. So the last question on this, and well, you know what? I'm not even going to ask this question. I'm going to read it for the people. I'm not going to ask it because you answered it. We talked about it. It says, have you had to fight an insurance company in a way that even surprised you?
Yeah, it's not surprising anymore. I've been doing this for 15 years. It's incessant. It's incessant discounting. It's incessant cutting of corners. So it's not surprising, but the it doesn't stop.
Right.
It doesn't stop.
Right. And like I said, you pretty much answered that. So I'm going to turn the page, Mr. Bernard, and I'm going to go further on into this. And the hard truth about winning. What's a victory you're proud of that had nothing to do with the size of the settlement?
Client satisfaction. Client satisfaction. In every job, you become jaded.
Yeah.
The clients that we deal with have necessarily been through a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Something bad has happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a happy time in their life.
Right.
And a lot of times, there's not a way to fully compensate for somebody for what they've been through. Right. They've suffered a loss that no amount of money is going to bring back.
Understood.
But the thing that makes me feel happy, and I think the people that I work with, it gives me satisfaction in what I do, is client satisfaction. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes, even regardless of the size of the settlement, it could be a smaller resolution. And if a client expresses, wow, you've really helped us, this has made this process easier for us, we appreciate you, mm-hmm. that goes a long way. And I know for me and the legal assistants that I work with, they love getting cards from clients or little thank you notes. And I think that really makes the job, it makes us feel like we're benefiting people, which is what we're here to do.
Yeah, nice. That's perfect. So would you rather take a slam dunk case for a small payment or a risky case with no chance to change I'm going to repeat that. Would you rather take a slam dunk case for a small payment or a risky case with a chance to change the law?
I don't know. Well, I guess there are cases that are fairly slam dunk. But I would take any case, regardless of the payout, period. To me, if a case is worth $500, it's worth signing up. It's worth helping somebody. Not every case is going to get the island in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a risky case, again, my cases that I take, I've analyzed starting with a jury trial. So if I don't think there's a way to win it, I'm not going to take the case. Changing the law, car wreck law is fairly well established in Tennessee.
Right.
There's not a lot that we do as far as changing the law.
Right.
We're there to make sure that the law is on our side.
Absolutely.
And to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
When dealing with an insurance company or a defendant. I mean, sometimes you have uninsured people, but it's much more rare.
Yeah, absolutely. And those that are uninsured, and we're talking about motor vehicle uninsured, right? You want to get uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage.
Absolutely.
To protect you.
DJ, that's the number one thing that I've learned in this job, is that if I could tell all my friends and family, they ask me, what have you learned? It's to increase your uninsured motorist coverage to the highest limits you can afford and make sure you have it. I think through our own research, just in the cases that flow through our office, probably 25% of people have no insurance whatsoever, even though it's required by law here in East Tennessee.
Wow.
So that uninsured motorist coverage protects you, protects your family, and I encourage everybody to add it to their policy if they don't have it. And if they do have it, increase the limits.
Absolutely. Please take note of that. That is very important. Underinsured motorist coverage is going to be that's going to cover you when somebody else is not covered. And although we follow the law, doesn't mean everyone else will follow the law. So take care of yourself and your family. Again, it's February. It's a month of love. So love yourself. Find the insurance policy that you can afford. Up that coverage. Underinsured or uninsured motor coverage is going to be the best thing that you can do for your loved ones here in the month of February. And I want to talk about some ethics, morality, and your reputation as a lawyer. What's a moral line you refuse to cross, even if it means losing a case? I know you don't lose cases though, but if it meant losing a case, what would it be?
Yeah, attorneys are bound by numerous ethical rules, and I think to violate any one of those rules you're violating your duty to the profession, you're violating your duty to the client. So some of these rules would be conflicts of interest. You can't have information detrimental to a defendant, maybe because you've represented them before, that you would then go use against them in a subsequent case.
Gotcha.
Lying is the most obvious number one reason people get in trouble in the legal system. So I would not lie. I would not counsel a client to lie. And I think that, again, there's just so many rules, and it's not worth it to break a rule. Period.
You have a fiduciary responsibility.
The fiduciary responsibility is to the money, but we have a lot of different duties. We have duties to the client. We have duties to the court. The duties to the client are the most important, in my opinion, and they're numerous. And so, as it applies to your question, I'm not exactly sure, I've never done anything to win a case that I considered unethical. But some things that people do is alter documents, misrepresent things to the court, refuse to turn over evidence to the other side, things like that. And if it's against the rules, you don't want to go down that road. The rules are there to protect everybody.
Absolutely. And that's part of the morality that I was looking for, the ethics, right? That's why I want to do these interviews. I want the people out there to be able to trust. Why are they getting Mr. Bernard as an attorney? Why were they calling OAB Law, for an attorney? That's exactly the answer I wanted to hear. So good job on that. What's something a potential client could say that would instantly make you reject their case?
Speaking on the injury side of things, if there's no doctor visit, there's probably not a case. Now, a doctor visit doesn't have to be the day of the accident.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the day after the accident. It has to be when you start to feel like you were injured in the accident. And at a certain point, if there's no medical treatment, there's no injury that I can prove in front of a jury.
Right.
I would reject that case.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. If you get in a wreck and call me 8 months later and say you've not been to the doctor, but your neck's been hurting for 8 months, it's probably not a case I can help you out with. I wish the best for you, and I'll try to refer you to somebody that might be able to help. But if there's no medical treatment, usually there's no injury case.
Gotcha. Don't waste time with that. Insurance or not, make sure you go see at least the ER. Somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah. The sooner you get in to document the injury, the less defenses the insurance company has that you weren't actually injured.
Absolutely. Take note of that. And this is my final question for you, Mr. Bernard. What's the worst legal advice you've ever heard any lawyer give?
I don't know what the worst is, but one thing I hear in this line of business a lot is lawyers putting a value on cases, maybe prematurely. And obviously, people like money. And if an attorney that you've just met tells you how much your case is worth within 30 minutes of meeting that attorney, you probably need to turn around and walk out the door. It is impossible to evaluate a case without the medical bills, the medical records, and getting an investigation done.
Gotcha.
So I do hear that. I think that some attorneys will kind of promise pie in the sky type results and then deal with it later when that doesn't produce. It's what's the saying? It's easier to ask. It's better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. Right?
Yeah,
so it's kind of like that.
That's good. Mr. Bernard, you've been a gem today. I really appreciate you joining me. The folks really out there need to hear that. Is there anything that you want to leave them with?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess as far as, going back to your earlier question about what would make me reject a case, I think the other thing that comes to mind is, unfortunately, if you're at fault, I'll steer
But
you.
we do have criminal defense attorneys.
That's
here
right. That's
that'll
right.
take care of that. But
I'll steer you in the
not
best direction I can. I'll try to help you out in dealing with the tangled web of the insurance companies, but ultimately we try not to take cases unless the person is injured by the fault of somebody else.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank
I really
you, DJ.
appreciate that. Yeah. Guys, OEB Law, you can hit the .com, recintoacheck.com. Yes, that's recintoacheck.com. Or you can give us a call. That's 865-546-1111. You guys have a wonderful day. It's February. It's time for love. Make sure you take those notes, put them in your daily life and routines. You guys be great.
And if you have any questions, call us anytime, 865-546-1111.